All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, a.k.a. ToeTagginTambo, back for another edition of the NFL Main Slate Show here on the Ship It Nation YouTube station. We've got Week 11, the International Series game already kicked off. Speaking of kickoff, 2 field goals have kicked off so far, 3-3 over there if you're following that game. But we're going to break down all things for the 11-game main slate, DraftKings, how you can apply it, ownership, roster construction, leverage, and more. Hoop title with me as always, and Hoopster, bring you in first, man. A big night for the nation. I know that. And people, it's only NFL. Golf is coming back soon. Well, NBA is doing a little bit of something. And then bang, MMA, 2 shippers up top in the 2 flag shippers, as I've coined the term. And then 2 in the mini max. We had our guy Hamhawk win another $50,000 in college football yesterday. Just the CF Beast, I call him. But Hoop, what's going on, man? A fine Sunday morning here.
Yeah, it was a good start to the weekend. And I kind of was thinking this morning, it's like, all right, so far so good, but today's the main event and got to get the job done in the main event, but the community off to a great start. The MMA stuff, I always talk about the MMA stuff and how good the content is from Title and Marley, but the community just continues to turn out, big wins. And, I know not everybody plays MMA, but I will say, if you're looking for a new sport to get into, that is the one for sure to hop into. I mean, we dedicate a lot of resources to it. And like I said, Title leads it up, does a phenomenal job. Marley does a great job. And it's a sport where, not a lot of people are grinding it. So you get into it, you have good content, put yourself an opportunity to win, and saw it last night with two guys up top for 65,000. What was it? 5-way chop, right? 5-way chop. We had two of the 5 here in our community, and it just continues on. I had it 2 weeks ago for 45,000. Those guys had it for 65. Just tons of wins and a lot of smaller wins as well last night and the previous week. And so it's a great sport to get into if you're looking for something else to do. And then the college football team continues to do a very good job as well.
Yeah, college football included with the football package, but just to show it off. Title, here's the folks. Sharks, always a regular in the Discord. Ranger, just on an absolute heater. Sharks, though, by the way, $300 into 65,300. So just a straight 65K, bang, bang. Ranger on an absolute heater, just crushing it across all sports. So congrats again to him. Philly Phantom showed him and Trisket with the Minimax take on. That was all just in MMA. And then there's Hamhawks. 50K. Title, what's going on, my man? Free money Sunday, week 11. What's happening?
Yeah, it's free money Saturday for a lot of people, but some awesome fights. 14 yesterday, 2 of the 5 being Ship It Nation members. Just awesome stuff. So congrats to them. Yeah, Sharks. He's if you're in the NHL streets, if you're in the Discord, he helps out Nades, drops his slate breakdown and stuff a lot of days too. So so many sports over here. Sports you might not eat, like esports. We don't offer it as a package, but there's people in the Discord that like playing some esports and getting in there, tennis as well. So just the best community, even when we don't have sports, members of ours is playing and trying to help other people win. So yeah, ready for some free money Sunday though. That's for sure.
Yeah, lots of news coming in. So we're just letting everybody file in. Make sure you hit that thumbs up on the way in. If you are just joining us, going to break down all 11 games. First up, as always, I'll get Hoop to bring in his grand scheme overview, but just to show it on the site there, college football included in the football package. So other sites are charging $299 for that package. You're getting $199 for the rest of the season, NFL and college football, including Saber Sim, including entry to the Ship It games, and your shot at over $79,000 in cash and prizes. And then for college football, we cover it all. It's DraftKings, FanDuel, Showdown. There's a stone for Showdown. There's the stone in general. Slate plan, all the tutorials, MMA, fight rankings, tier rankings. All this is on top of the NBA stuff going on right now. NFL, everything else that we've got to offer. NHL is going on still right now. So a lot of good things over at the Nation. Hoop, I'll kick it to you first, man. 11 games. Weather. We've got some weather. Injury news. We're waiting on some stuff, but for the most part, we did just get the Keon Coleman official news. I think I know it came out last night with speculation, but bringing up Mecole Hardman and Gabriel Davis is back. So Gabe Davis back in the mix. What's your thoughts on this slate, Hoop, as a whole?
Yeah, so the slate overall, I'd say like pretty similar to last week. Where starting at quarterback, where we have a couple spends up top, but no one really wants to play them, and probably even less this week than last week because they just really haven't been needed lately. And Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, on DK, 7K for Josh Allen, 6.9 for Lamar Jackson. Like previous years, those are just like slam plays. We're playing them for sure, and really haven't been needed recently. So people aren't on them and aren't going to be on them. And it's similar to last week. They're going to go to a big group of cheap guys. There's a lot of cheap guys that people are interested in playing, starting like, below 6K, Brock Purdy, JJ McCarthy, Jacoby Brissett, maybe even a little Davis Allen, Jameis Winston. So there's a bunch of cheap guys that people are going to want to be playing at quarterback, and they're going to avoid the top. So we'll kind of talk about that as we go through the slate. Running back, I would say, a couple mid-tier options that people are going to be on. Chase Brown, Jalen Warren, then a couple spends up top that are somewhat interesting. Christian McCaffrey, Bijan, and I think like Josh Jacobs is an interesting conversation because you touched on the weather stuff early, and that's a game where weather will be where the weather will impact the game a little bit. We have some very strong gusts, and we'll definitely have our meteorologist title kind of break down all the weather in a minute. He does a phenomenal job of that. But that is one game for sure that is going to be impacted. Go to wide receiver. We got the big guys up top that have been there all season: Jamar Chase, JSN, and Puka. Pretty expensive, but you have that trio. And then a bunch of guys below it, kind of in like the 5K range. That's interesting. You go to tight end. You got Trey McBride, who is, we always talk about it on the Cash Game show. It's not like he's tight end one, like he's wide receiver one, and he's not priced like wide receiver one. So at 6,300, a lot of people are gonna want to play him, but there are other options, cheaper options that you can play at the position. So overall, I think pretty similar to kind of what we saw last week. It starts with quarterback, and a lot of people are going to want to go cheap with their QB stacks. So if they go cheap with their QB stacks, they're going to have the ability to spend on CMC, Bijan, Jamar Chase, Puka, JSN. So I think probably similar builds to what we saw last week to kind of wrap it all up.
Yeah, it'd be interesting when we go into the games because, like, obviously CMC's, one that gets there. I do think Bijan is steaming up. We'll talk about that when we get to the first game here in a moment, but also the factor of like the other guys you talked about, if Jalen Warren and Chase Brown in that game, like they're the two of the cheaper options, the Woody Markses of the slate and all that, and people wanting to get to McBride even as a 2 tight end build because, like Hoop said, for $6,300, he's a wide receiver one, and he's literally getting scores like some of the 7,500 and 8K wide receiver ones. So that's kind of something you got to remember as well. Shout out to all those in the chat before I go to title for his. We got Slappy Stock, Go Collect, our man Newens, Adam, Sean, Lloyd, Nip, just tons of good people. Can't name them all, but we appreciate all of you. And Hoop, you got to love this. We love our founding family members at Ship It Nation, but the day ones on the personal side, Paulio M says, Hoop, it's been quite a ride for you since the beginning RG days, my friend, and love Ship It Nation. So that's a special shout out going way back. What's it been now? How many years?
Long time. Yeah. I mean, I started playing in 2011, so man, been almost 15 years kind of playing DFS, and definitely appreciate all the support. And we always say it, like, man, without the support of our people in our community, like none of this would be possible. Probably be doing a 9 to 5 somewhere or whatnot. The community and the support and the people that have been with us for a while are what makes this all possible and very special. So appreciate those kind words.
Yeah, shout out to Daniels too, said free money. He posted a later screenshot this morning, had a 2.5K, I think it was, which is an awesome score, and said shout out to Ethan Ewing at 5%. That was one of the leverage pieces on the slate. I think the opposite side of that was like Wellmaker at 63 or 64% or something. So that definitely was something. But title, I'll go to you, man. Your thoughts on everything and just going into this slate, and then we'll start with Panthers at the Falcons.
Yeah, Hoop, 2 weeks in a row, Hoop had a phenomenal breakdown for broad slate. I don't really have much. People want to go down at quarterback. Pricing's relatively tight this week, but a lot of that has to do with people just want to play Trey McBride at tight end, and rightfully so. 6.3 feels too cheap. I have him projected for about 6 more points than the next highest scoring or projected tight end on the slate in Kittle. But there is cheap options if you want to go there. A lot of good mid-tier running back plays. If people do spend, I think it's mainly just one. Like I think double spend running back is definitely a contrarian build. And then we have a lot of the good receivers on the slate too. Chase, Puka, JSN, Rice. We got the Brian Thomas news. I mean, Parker Washington seems like wide receiver 1 in the league almost without these guys. So he's back in play as well. We have 11 games on the slate, 4 in the afternoon. So late swapping is important there. And yeah, I mean, I'll just copy. I'm by no means a weatherman. I'm copying and reading what Roth is saying. I'll just say orange. I'm going to go down and list the yellow or the color coordinations. So Green Bay at the Giants is orange. Orange is pretty bad. It's talking about some pretty heavy winds, gusts up to 30 and 40. Yeah, not great. Orange yellow, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, gusts up to 30, 35. Tampa, Buffalo, orange yellow, pretty much same thing, 20 miles an hour can get up to 35. And then Baltimore, Cleveland is orange. So 25 miles an hour can get up to 30, 35. So it seems like a lot of wind across the country. Giants, Green Bay, Cincy, Pitt, Tampa, Buffalo, Baltimore, Cleveland. But again, it's baked into projections, totals, etc. that way. So when we talk about it, I'm not sure how much interest I have in most of those games anyway, but when we go through, we can discuss.
Yeah, I'll have some of the stuff too. I usually look at a little bit of the line movement stuff. This very first game is a total that's dropped as well. Even, the Atlanta game started at 45.5 is now down somewhere around 41.5. And it could be a product of different features, but just noting that to think of that. Got to shout out Scooter McGavin as well, having a huge week himself, a big 10K score the other day, and said the rest of us still do 9 to 5 as a hobby. Love that one. Yeah, this is not your hobby. This is your thing. Your 9 to 5 is your hobby. So great way of looking at it. Shout out to Scooter, having a big DFS week as well. Title, I'm going to stay right there with you. We have the Panthers at the Falcons, 2 pretty poor rush defenses. I know I've made my case. I like Bijan. The chat was sort of humming back and forth on that yesterday, but I play a full portfolio. If I'm picking one and I'm doing it in my single entry, I'm going Bijan. But Rico Dowdle and Hoops Boy Dodal on the other side, get that dough. Could be a pretty good leverage spot as well, just flipping it. And on FanDuel, the defense is almost the same price. And I know a lot on FanDuel are going to that Atlanta D. That always worries me when it's like the opposite D's right there for $100 more. So maybe that, and then you could save a little down to Dowdle. So mixing it up a little bit, but my choice here is definitely Bijan. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, good shot on the defense. Falcons D will be very popular on FanDuel due to being favorites at home and $3,300. So they're way too cheap. Whereas on DraftKings, they're a lot more expensive. I do like Bijan, like you're talking about. I do think more will go to Christian McCaffrey if they do spend up. And a lot of people just try and go in that mid-tier running back range. So his ownership will stay in check. I do like Drake London, and I think Kyle Pitts is interesting when you're not going Bijan. At the end of the day, they're implied for about 24 points. They're in the dome. We know Drake London, he was questionable on Friday, popped up, but I'm not too worried about that. He should give it a go. Yeah, I mean, he has big boy upside. A couple weeks ago, put up like 37. I'm seeing 12, 13% ownership. A little leverage off of Bijan as well. I think he's interesting. And then Rico on the other side, if you want to skinny stack it, Rico, Drake London, just go Rico. The price tag is good in the fact of he's kind of in his own range. More people will want to go below to Chase Brown or Warren or the Woody Marks or whatever, or they'll just want to go up for CMC, maybe Bijan that way. So I'm not saying he's going to be low owned. If they fall in that range, it will be Rico, but there's just enough running back plays that way. Yes, they're underdogs. But yeah, looking at the stone right now, you kind of want to attack the Falcons on the ground, and you can attack the Panthers anywhere. So not a game I'm going to go overboard on. I don't love the quarterbacks or stacks, but give me the studs, Rico, Drake London, Bijan, and just hope one of them has a game.
And Hoop, I know we were talking a little pre-show, and you had some thoughts over there. I'm curious to where you're landing now with this Falcon side of things and a one Michael Penix Jr. with some of his pass catchers. And then you always got to love your boy Dodal on the other side, as you like to call him. So maybe that's the way you set it up, as a Penix London Pitts with Dowdle on the other side. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't hate it. Yeah, we were talking before the show and, kind of just built my teams. I don't, lock anything in, obviously, until after inactives, but I was getting some Michael Penix, and I don't necessarily hate it. I'm going to play him a little bit just because I like Drake London now. You have those spends up top that a lot of people are going to go to. He's kind of questionable all week. Ownership has to be held in check a little bit for that reason. He's still going to be owned, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to be anything substantial. So I'm going to kind of, make sure I play some Drake London. I think Kyle Pitts has a good price tag. Bijan, I think, is obviously a phenomenal play, and you can always play Bijan with the quarterback. So like 3 pieces with the quarterback, and then even, if you want to put Mooney in there, who's been very disappointing basically all season long and had injury stuff, but you have ways to play Penix. So I'm gonna have some. I'm definitely gonna cap it. It's not like I'm gonna play 20%, Michael Penix. It'll be capped, but I'll have him in that pool with those cheap quarterbacks. He'll definitely be lower owned than some of those other ones. And then Mr. Dodo on the other side. The price tag is in a weird spot. The title kind of talked about it, and a lot of people want to go lower to Chase Brown and Jalen Warren. And then if you're in that range, you might want to find a way to get up to the Josh Jacobs and Bijan Robinsons instead. So I think he could get squeezed a little bit. And then, if you want to play Tet, I think Tet's a fine option as well. So, definitely some plays here. Not my favorite game overall, but I will have some exposure, and it will include Penix a little bit.
I'll just add a couple things because it's just my new thing is going to be this. If I can just add, you guys cover it so well, but I just say that the Dowdle thing makes sense to me with the version I teased to Hoop. If I'm not on Bijan, I like the Penix, London Pitts. Bring it back with Dowdle. It leaves you money to still do stuff. Like, meaning if you say, Pitts is going to beat McBride, fine. But you could also build it with McBride if you decide that's what you want later on because of the savings that you've got at running back, at quarterback, and now at the tight end onesie position, but then use your flex for McBride. I also think it's interesting that the Falcons D, I mentioned earlier already, but like really popular on FanDuel, not as popular on DraftKings, because on DraftKings you get the Green Bay spot, you get some of the other ones there. And I was like that when people bitch about it on the other site or one site or the other, like, of course the chalk gets it. It's like, it ain't chalk over here. So I'm doing just fine with that. And that'll be great. So I think that's another way to think about it. And then in non-Bijan Falcons type setups, if I'm not going that way or just Bijan in general, I think you can go with Dowdle and the Panthers. So interesting from that perspective.
Yeah. One thing just to add on real quick, which is concerning, and I think you kind of touched on it a little bit when you opened up this game, but very low total. And like, I think you said it came down. Like, if I was pegging a total in this game, like without looking at anything, I would say it's got to be at least like 45, right? Like 41.5 or 42. Like that's a low number, somewhat surprising.
Carolina just bleeds the ball. They hate throwing. Yeah. Their games can be really annoying.
Yes. Yeah.
42 back to. So it's went as low. It started 45.5, went down to 41.5 as low.
Started at 45 and went all the way down.
The opening line again. That can always change quickly, but 45.5 shows the open.
Yeah. Okay.
Inside, like that's what I thought about it too. Like you'd think, like, man, these two teams, it's the second of a division game. So maybe that's part of it. And I know I think there's 8 of 11 of these games are division games. So that's always something to think about. Yesterday that was the chat back and forth, always in good fun. I really want everyone to play what they want to play and enjoy it. That's what it's all about, playing this game and finding your lane and rolling with it. But if all games were the same, we'd all be millionaires. You just run it back. Like obviously Pittsburgh and Cincy is going to be the same back and forth all game, just loaded up identical, but we'll get to that one later. Hoop, I am going to stay with you. Talked about the Coleman news a little bit already. Bills at home versus the Bucs. This one here, I think the totals come down a little bit as well. 49.5 down to 46.5. Obviously wind title mentioned a little bit. The Hardman and Davis stuff, it just seems as though, at least from the beat writers and stuff, you hear them talk about it as Hardman for special teams. Gabe Davis, very high potential. He's played with Josh Allen. He knows what's going on, but there could be some other stuff at play here. And then on the other side, whatever you think of Baker, but Igbuka, Cade Otton, Tez Johnson, no Bucky Irving still, but just going back to you, Hoop, on this one. Bills at home versus the Bucs.
Man, I mean, you have Josh Allen as your quarterback, right? I mean, just one of the best quarterbacks, athletes, football players in the NFL. And you are rolling out Shakir, Josh Palmer, Gabe Davis from the grave, Dawson Knox. I mean, that is embarrassing as a football organization, like that. These are your pass catchers, and like Coleman was a high draft pick, right? I mean, I don't follow that stuff pretty closely, but like I'm assuming like they thought he was going to be something, and it hasn't. Where it kind of ironic though. Yeah, so like they thought, and now you're week 12 of the NFL season, and he's just can't play. Coach's decision. really bad. So like, what does it do for DFS? I mean, you have to imagine more Josh Allen running. Like they need to get a win now after last week's disaster against Miami. I do think overall it's probably somewhat of a boost to Josh Allen's fantasy output. Like you're playing him because you want him to run the ball. With these pass catchers, you have to imagine he's going to be looking to run a little bit more. I think it can be a boost for James Cook, who I think has to get squeezed a little bit. Like he's also in that territory where people probably look to go up or down instead of just staying at James Cook. I do think Shakir's a really good play. I actually really like Shakir. Like look at these, and he already has a connection with him. Like it's been his number one, him and Kincaid. Now Kincaid's out. Shakir, I think, could have a really big game here. And if Tampa Bay puts up some points and there is some back and forth, like, and Josh Allen's passing, like where in the world is it going? Like it's got to be Shakir. So I do like him quite a bit. On the Tampa Bay side, not the best spot, low total for them, hovering around 20. But these pass catchers keep getting it done. Ibuka, Tez Johnson. So I don't want to fully write them off. Like they're cheap. I don't mind like a Josh Allen, Shakir, and then Ibuka or Tez Johnson. I'd be fine with something like that. Not too much interest in Rachaad White. Sean Tucker's now starting to get some work. But just looking at everything, I think Shakir is my favorite play in this game.
Title, do you see any props for Gabe Davis yet? I know like on touchdown prop, someone in our Discord got it at, I think, plus 925 yesterday and even boosted it. Now it's down to plus 425 in some places or whatever else. But as far as yardage goes, I see Josh Palmer 27.5. I see Shakir 48.5. I don't see anything yet on Gabe Davis.
No. And I'm really not sure that they'll post it. Who knows what his role is going to be? I mean, he was down in the practice squad for a reason. So yeah. I don't know if books want to take that liability.
Yeah, that's true too. And I think the other thing people are worried about is like, if again, I think it's all baked in. Like we talked about, I know it is. It's more of the wind stuff. It's like, oh, they can't throw any downfield passes to Gabe Davis because that's kind of his game. It's like the guy's fast and he's open. You've seen these wide receivers literally hold up for 2 seconds, turn around and wait for it and catch it. They get so open sometimes and then still get to the house. So it's like their legs still work pretty good and they're pretty fast if they can get that. And Josh Allen has a big boy arm. So we definitely think it's possible he could get it down there still in my eyes. The other thing on this one is who's the other guy I was going to say? Dawson Knox. What's your thoughts on him, Title? And then talk about the rest of this game, just because with Kincaid out, you'd think when people first saw it, but because the way the slate is and the dynamics of the McBride stuff, even 2 tight end, I don't think a lot of people are rushing to get to Dawson Knox as a backup option. 25.5 is what I'm seeing for his prop.
Yeah, Jackson Hawes is also involved in this offense, and I mean it's Dawson. 24.5 receiving prop. Like at the end of the day, Trey McBride's at the tight end position. That's an actual receiver, and then I think there's a handful of guys a little more expensive than Knox, but that actually have 80+ receiving yard upside and a touchdown. I don't want to play Dawson Knox on this 11-game slate. And frankly, I don't really want to play anything in this game. Like playing Josh is really tough because who are you pairing him with? Probably Shakir. I really don't love it though in the wind. James Cook has a real price. Probably still my favorite spot in this game, but the Bucs are the best against the run, or like they're better against the run than the pass. It's going to be a gross game environment. I think they're just going to try and get like 5 a pop. Maybe you have to use Josh's legs a little more, but again, I prefer spend down QB this week. There's no doubt about that for me. Gross game in terms of weather. I really don't hate Bills defense. If you want to go James Cook, Bills defense, a lot of wind. They're only implied for 20 points on the road. Buffalo needs to bounce back here. Baker can make mistakes. He tries to extend plays. So I don't hate like a James Cook, Bills D or something like that, but not a game I'm going to have much of.
Yeah, I forgot to remind you guys of this. It is Knox's birthday this weekend.
Now I'm in.
Yeah.
Now I'm in. Let me get it. Shout out to our man Gary. This is how you get it done, folks. This is I'm assuming the dad life with Miss Rachel on the big screen, but Finn's on the iPad, Miss Rachel on the big screen, and now you gorgeous guys on my iPhone. LFG.
Gorgeous. That's nice. I'll take that. For
gorgeous
sure.
Guys. Yeah.
I'll take that. Gorgeous guys.
I like Ibuka here for sure. And I like Josh Allen stacks in some with like Allen, even if you get Palmer into some of them. And Palmer's cheaper than Davis on FanDuel, just of note too. You guys know I've been bringing that stuff up lately. Definitely a good pass funnel here for that. And then the other thing I was going to say is I'm definitely in on James Cook. I talked about it yesterday on Leverage Lane. We just watched Henderson go off against these guys. And it was a lucky touchdown. Got to be good to be lucky. So I think it was just fine. He backed it up again in his game against the Jets, but I think James Cook is a guy that fits the same mold as what we were talking about earlier when Title mentioned with Dowdle. Does it mean they'll have no ownership? No. But what happens is people want to go down or they want to go up. They don't always want to land in the middle. Even with the total drop here, it's still up there. It's still almost 47. He's got an 82.5-yard prop, minus 145 to score a touchdown. He's got receiving props as well. Like, there's definitely opportunity for James Cook here. And if you want to put him with the Bills, that could be different as well. The Bills at 3,200 are also in a no man's land when it comes to defenses. A lot of people are going down or they're going all the way up, and that's the product of the Bills this week. So some of your builds might want to include the Bills, if I'll put it that way. So I think that's probably my thoughts on this game. Title, I'm going to go back to you for game number 3. We've got the Chargers on the road against the Jags, and Jags been a bit of a pass funnel as well. We did get the news late last night, overnight, I guess, that Brian Thomas Jr. would be out for this game. So we know they've picked up guys like Myers and things like that. They've got Parker Washington, who looked great last week. Any thoughts here on this one? What stands out to you most?
I mean, Parker Washington's just a baller. Like, whenever this dude has a chance, even to end the year last year, when he's on the field, he makes plays, and it's clear Trevor Lawrence views him as wide receiver 1. So I'm going to go right back to Parker Washington with a lot of confidence. The Jacoby Myers stuff. So he played, about 45% of snaps last week. That's actually pretty promising for how recently he was traded. Now, no Brian Thomas. I think that Jacoby price at 4.6 when Brian Thomas will probably be, or Parker Washington will probably be double as owned for 500 more. I don't hate Jacoby. I've been indifferent about both quarterbacks. I've been teeter-tottering, so I'm going to let you guys try and talk me in or out of the quarterbacks. Like, I like Gadsden. There's no doubt. If I'm playing Herbert, it's probably with Gadsden. I know he got hurt the last primetime game or whatever, but kind of like what I just talked about Knox. Yes, Gadsden's more expensive by a decent bit, but if someone's going to match McBride on this slate, like Gadsden clearly is one that can do it. Vidal, his props aren't nearly as good as I want. I know I tried last week, I believe it was, or 2 weeks ago, and he got steam against the Titans. It was bad for him. Plus 120 to score and 65.5 rushing prop. Running back, I mean, you're going to need a score. There's some opportunity cost there. So I think he's a way to get different. I'd be lying if I loved it. I like the other side in ETN a lot more. His role's been great. He looks explosive. He can catch a couple passes out of the backfield. He's at home. Nothing bad to say there. And then, yeah, Ladd's price is getting up there a bit. The pass catchers would mainly just be with Herbert. And again, I don't know how much Herbert or Trevor Lawrence I'm going to play, but really like Parker Washington, really like Gadsden. And then from there, I'm fine with the running backs.
Yeah, one thing I like about the Parker Washington situation, Hoop, is, and whether you pick Myers or Etienne Jr., or whatever you decide to roll with here, is it at least opened it up a little bit more for what I'm looking for on the other side, which to Title's point, we talked about it yesterday. Alex really liked this one. I think this is actually what he rolled for his lane was the Herbert stacks, but it's because of the Gadsden spot, Title, that you mentioned. And so, Hoop, I'll kick it over to you. It was Brock Bowers who just tore this team up at the tight end position recently. And then obviously you've got guys like Ladd, who you usually are one side or the other on, Hoop. So I'm curious to get your take. And then you got Quentin Johnston at just 5K. If you want to go to Keenan Allen, it's up to you. He hasn't done much lately, but I'll kick it over to you, Hoop. We got the Chargers at the Jags.
Yeah, I'm in on this one. I think this could be a good game. Like I wouldn't be surprised if this game is kind of on the winner, and a lot of different options in terms of ways to play it. On the Charger side, I mean, when you play Herbert, you have a variety of different ways to play him. I mean, you have 3 wide receiver options. You have a very solid tight end option. And, you could pair him with the running back. The running back catches balls as well in Vidal. So a lot of different ways to do it. I'm definitely in on Herbert and going to play all his pass catchers. A lot of this depends on how many teams you're playing. I'm playing 150, so I can get a lot of different combinations. But even if you're hand building teams, like I would want some exposure to this one. On the Jaguar side, I'm not playing the Trevor Lawrence, and I'm fine with it because his pass catchers have gotten there a lot. Not a lot this year, but when they have gotten there, you have not needed Trevor Lawrence to be there as well. And Parker Washington's been my guy. Like, loved him last week. As soon as I saw Brian Thomas Jr. out, I went in, made sure I was getting more Parker Washington. He's going to be a big part of what I do today. I mean, he's wide receiver 1. Yes, Jacoby Myers is going to be there, but there's enough to go around. Both their price tags are cheap. I do like Jacoby as well. But Parker Washington to me is definitely the guy here. And then ETN, I think, is a solid option. kind of priced around those popular running backs. So there's no way he gets a ton of ownership. He'll get some, but I do really like ETN. So I think this is a good game. A lot of different ways to play it, and a lot of individual plays in this game for DFS.
Yeah. What do you see title for the Gadsden prop right now for receptions receiving yards?
Receiving yards, Gadsden.
I guess that's the part that's exciting me. I think I don't know if this is right, but I was looking at like 51.5. That's not
51.5. That's money. Ladd 62.5, and then Parker Washington 48.5, Jacoby 44.5, Quentin 40.5. So I mean, yeah, that's number 2 in the game.
Yeah, love our guy Myron, always out here supporting. We appreciate you, Myron Kidd. Double D. We got the double D theme just continuously rolls on, but it says Brock Bowers equals Ladd McConkey, shifty wide receivers give Jacksonville fits. And I think a lot of people can give them fits, and hopefully we can see Gadsden get in the mix too. So I like this spot. I think like Hoop mentioned it, if you've got the stone over at Ship It Nation, got a label on it. So you want to go check that out if you're a member. If you're not, you can get in, use code SHIP19. It's right on the screen. We keep our marketing clean. Ship 19, 5 days for $19. It's simple. It's all access. Somebody says it's not really a deal. I had to clap back a little bit. Even if you just play NFL only, it's first of all, it's all access. We just named all the sports. But if you play today's main slate, tonight's showdown, Monday night showdown, it gets you well through Thursday. It's like $5 a slate for Saber Sim, all access, Discord, everything that goes with it. Like, you're not going to find a better deal. And if you're, taking advantage of the coupons and you're going to the grocery store and clipping them all, I'm all for that. I support it, but it's a trial. It's meant to be, if you actually want something, you give it a shot, and then hopefully you stick around, and there's plenty of good deals to stand by. If you just taking advantage of the deal, there is no free trial or anything. We've proven over the time now that it's been very successful for our community and a lot of people finding success with Ship It Nation. So check that out. I don't have too much else to add here. I do like the Chargers side. I've got some, I already know this from setting it up last night after we got the Brian Thomas news with Washington on the run back. I've got some with ETN Jr. I may have to consider Title's point there of just, saving the money. It's not even about really the money saving, save the money and the ownership, and have a guy like Jacoby Myers, so they brought in, maybe start to get him flowing and get him into the mix. So that could be interesting as well. Hoop, I'm going to stay with you. We got the Vikings at home versus the Bears. Don't need to check the weather on this one because it could be a pretty good spot. But, what are you thinking here with this game?
Pretty good spot here for the Vikings at home. Bears defense, Bears have been winning football games, but defensively they're not great. And, you see that in the numbers here. The total in this game sitting right around 48. Team total for Minnesota is big at 25, 26 range. The one slight concern, and it's not going to stop me from playing him, is McCarthy does look to be like the cheap quarterback that everyone wants to play. The one thing we do know at quarterback is it always does get spread out, so it's nothing to really worry about. When you go to pair them, I think you have a lot of options. You got Justin Jefferson, who people are just down on overall, and there's a lot of, people are going to want to go to that higher. They're going to want the JSNs and the Jamar Chases over him, so his ownership will be held in check. I don't even hate Jordan Addison. And then, TJ Hawkinson at 3K. I love TJ Hawkinson at 3K, and you don't really need to worry about much because we know what a lot of people are going to be doing at tight end. They're going to be trying to get up to Trey McBride, and there's other cheap options. So I really like Hawkinson at that 3K price tag. I think he's a really good punt at tight end, and you kind of get a different build in the fact that a lot of people are going to try to play Trey McBride, who is just really, really underpriced. I do struggle with the run backs, though. There's not much I like on the Chicago side. So I'm fine playing Minnesota without Chicago run backs, and I feel pretty good about it. And then Aaron Jones as well. Aaron Jones is a cheap price tag and got quite a bit of work. I mean, the one concern obviously with him is the injury stuff. I mean, he seems to always get injured mid-game, but coming off a solid game, 9 carries, 3 receptions, 6 targets. So he's going to be involved in that passing game as well. So a lot of goodness on the Minnesota side. Not much interest for me on the Chicago side.
Yeah, this one title is the opposite effect of what we talked about. It opened at 45.5 up to 48. You've got something I continuously talk about when, again, people worry so much about these guys all suck or they're not as good as these other guys. We get that. It's DFS. We're playing for week 11. All we care about today's slate. But when you see these team totals on the Bears on the road and the Vikings. You just have to count for that. It's not going to pop up in your team total implied rankings of like the Bills. It's like when stack rankings, when we talk about it, of course, when it used to be Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T Higgins, or if it was, Josh Allen with his best two, it's like, yeah, those would pop if you didn't account for everything. You have to account for the quality of these teams or lack of quality that some will say about them. And I think the Vikings are just fine. McCarthy, someone mentioned the rushing yards capable. You got Jefferson, you got Addison. Hawkinson, not the best props today that I just looked at, but for 3K, it's a big difference. And you're putting them with McCarthy. You're hoping to double down and get that correlation. Much trickier, like Hoop said, trying to figure out the other side of this game. But where are you at with this one, Title?
Yeah, I know for sure that Aaron Jones is probably my favorite play in this game. I mean, the role was phenomenal last week. Jordan Mason was pretty much an afterthought. Outsnapped him like 70-30. And it makes sense just with his pass catching ability to help JJ McCarthy. And he runs hard. I mean, the injuries for sure. Small dude, plays so hard. He's injured every other game. But we're playing daily fantasy, daily, one game. I mean, if he gets hurt, he gets hurt. But I think the upside is very much there. And then the leverage off of the chalk quarterback and McCarthy, it does get spread out, but there's no denying that it directly eats into that. So I like Aaron Jones. And to make it all even better, he's right in that Warren, Chase Brown range. So I just think he does so much for your teams. And they're implied for like 25, 26 points. After that, I definitely will be playing some McCarthy. You just watched the game last week. I don't think it could have went any worse. And he scored 16.5 fantasy points. Like he did backdoor a 30-yard run. But man, he was terrible. And he got 16.5. He has rushing upside. He has the top 3 receiver in football. Jordan Addison's a complete stud. Kevin O'Connell's a monster. Like everything in the world's going for him. And then it gets better because he's in a dome and he gets one of the worst defenses in the Bears. If there's ever a spot to do something, it's today. So I definitely will be eating some chalk. But what? Addison's like 5%. Jefferson 15-ish. Like the pass catchers are still in check, and you can play him with Aaron Jones if you want to that way. So enough ways to play the cheap, chalky quarterback in a great matchup. So I'm going to do that. I've been struggling with what to do with Caleb because we're seeing 4% ownership. No one's really going there. It is tough to pair with him, but he has legs like an athletic quarterback. He can get there in garbage time or whatever if they're down. No one's playing his pass catchers now. If I do it, probably Rome, just because it feels like when he gets there fully, it's him. But you can go Loveland at tight end, and it flips the tight end position. Or you can go Zacchaeus as a cheap punt at 3,300. If Caleb's on the optimal, I think a lot of it has to do with his legs. Then you can play the Vikings on the way back. So I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on Caleb? That was the last thing that I've been going back and forth on.
Yeah, I don't necessarily hate it. Like in a dome, we have a lot of wind situations. He can kind of get there on the ground. I'd probably prefer just to do it cheap and then hope it's like him and maybe like Zacchaeus or something. Like Zacchaeus gets a touchdown, he gets one on the ground, and then you can kind of load up elsewhere. I don't hate it. I don't know, like on my build to see if
I was surprised no one's playing it. Like
yeah,
the
no
dome game,
yeah,
quarterback's pretty tough.
Yeah. I don't hate it.
It's not simming well for all those out there. And a lot of the thing, like Sims have taken over a lot of stuff. A lot of people play 150 in that. So there's some spots that I try and look at where personally I kind of like it, but Sims don't. But then I'm always torn.
Yeah, I got a couple updates to make on my stuff because one of the things I'm high on the JJ McCarthy side, obviously. And when that's the case, that just means I really think they're going to be able to push it. And if they are, you kind of got to keep up on the other side. So one thing I like about the Caleb side, just to note it, is if you are stacking it and you can run kind of the same overstack, you could use Jones as like last week's Henderson, where it was Baker, Egbuka, Tez, Otten. Well, maybe it's Caleb, Rome, OZ or Burden, whoever you want to pick, Moore, whatever you choose with Loveland. Like you can keep those guys involved and do it that way. Or you get the wide receiver spots filled up with Rome, pick one, and then one of Jefferson or Addison or something like that. So I think if you like one side and you think it can push enough, you're going to need the other side. I don't think it is going to sim well to your point, but I think it's more what I always talk about, like portfolio manipulation. If you're high on one thing and you believe it to be the thing, and I've already got those simming well or looking good or feeling good, then it's okay to have some of the hedge stuff on the other side. Caleb won't be in any of my main lineups, but I definitely think just, some of the qualifiers, the $20 milli maker, things like that. If it gets there all the way because of that game, how many times do we review on a Monday and say, lots of people like the McCarthy side, but of course it was the other side. Shoot, that could have been it. There's a lot of correlation that you see in speaking of our college football streets of Superflex. right? You can get quarterback opposite a quarterback. You don't get that in the classic slates, right? You can only pick one quarterback and then run it down from there. So I think that's interesting. I also think, as much as we just said all these good things about both sides, and I agree, and I'm very high on the McCarthy side, obviously, is that both these defenses very much in play. It is still JJ McCarthy rushing, free sacks in some cases, things like that. And then on top of it, it's the same for the other side. It is still Caleb Williams. So Hoop, anything else you want to add to any of that? If not, you could take us into the Giants at home versus the Packers.
Yeah, nothing to add. And this game definitely looks like the most, or I guess tied for the most impactful weather situation. Gusts between 30, 40 miles an hour. Total definitely has come down, sitting around 42 and a half. Packers still projected to score like 24, 25 points. The Giants not as much. I do worry about like Jordan Love in the passing game here. The passing attack has not been good. They do rely on some of these deeper balls. You could see it last week. They're trying to go to Watson. So I am probably off the Packers passing game, most of it for the win situation. And I am going to boost Josh Jacobs. Like you saw them opening up that last game, and it didn't work, and it probably backfired on them, but just run to Jacobs, run to Jacobs, run to Jacobs. They will feed this guy and run him into the ground, and that could work today, and that could be the way they win this game. So I'm boosting Jacobs, not really playing any of the pass catchers or Jordan Love. On the Giants side, a little more interest in the passing game, just because I think the guys that Winston is throwing the ball to, it's going to be like shorter routes. Wan'Dale Robinson is kind of a intermediate route guy. Theo Johnson has been good. I think you can play him at tight end. So kind of focusing in on those two. But this game overall just not great for me because of the wind situation. And it's not very often where I let weather impact what I do until it gets to a certain point. And to me, this game looks like, and I'm not a meteorologist, but from the reports and what Title referenced earlier from Roth, it does look like this will be impactful. I mean, you're talking 20-mile-an-hour winds and then 30 to 40-mile-an-hour gusts. Like those are real big boy numbers where it's enough for me to kind of get off the passing game for the Packers. Again, in on some of the Giants passing stuff, just because I think it's shorter routes to Wan'Dale Robinson, Theo. Jameis has a little bit of running upside as well. But for me, it's mostly Jacobs, Wan'Dale Robinson, Theo Johnson in this game. And that's pretty much it.
A couple things about this game, Title. One is the numbers didn't really move on this one. They know about the wind. They know about who's coming in and out and some of the situation. I think we're still waiting on Matthew Golden news, but just on the Jameis side of things and all that front, the total kind of is held tight at 42 and a half.
Is that code word to get Nades in the chat?
Nade's posted his core. There is no Packers that I saw.
Wow.
Not even Josh. So
wow, one for what week are we? 11.
11.
One for 11. Wow.
He might get it. He might have other backup lineups we don't know about, but I'm sure he does. Our guy Bellman, by the way, interested in this Jordan Love side of the things there. And then I got one thought, but I'll let Title go ahead first. Title, I'll give you Packers at the Giants. Give us your thoughts on this one.
Josh Jacobs looks elite. I mean, why would he not touch the ball 25, 30 times in this game? Second highest rushing prop on the main slate, 82 and a half, right behind, or 83 and a half, right behind Rico, which is 85 and a half, 20 and a half receiving prop, minus 205 to score. Look at the stone at Giants defense. Terrible. Jordan Love's been terrible. Windy. Why not just turn around, hand the ball off, get your 5 yards a pop and keep it moving? I like that a lot. Packers defense you can throw in for correlation. And the other side, yeah, Wan'Dale. I mean, I don't even know if I'd call him intermediate routes. I might call him the shortest routes of all time. The dude takes 3 steps upfield, turns around, catches his hitch, and moves on him. Yeah, about the day. He gets his job done. Yeah, I mean, full point PPR guy. Price is good. Jacobs, Wan'Dale. You can throw Theo in there. 41 and a half receiving prop. Good in the red zone. Jameis probably going to be slinging the football. Not a game I really want much of, but I think it is those pieces, and Jacobs by far leads the way for me.
Nate's in here again. Just hilarious at this point. He says, is it only minus 6,500? I would have had a lot minus 10,000. Like those are good odds. You can still get money back on that. The thought I have here is a couple things. One, and I'm waiting on it. We got to wait and see because the backups here that they have, I know Jalen Hyatt week, Ray McLeod. People are making fun of this whole situation of losing Lil Jordan Humphrey and keeping Ray McLeod and all this other stuff, but it's all different. But one guy they brought up that you got to have love for, and there's some like back end story to this too. So, Tambo's looking for those tidbits, is Isaiah Hodgins. And we played a bunch of him hoop in the playoffs that year. We're going into the end of the season, I guess it was. It's the Giants we're talking about, but it was later in the season. Isaiah Hodgins came in. He was catching touchdowns, everything. I think it was for Buffalo at the time. And I believe that's the storyline, is the OC for the interim coach for the Giants, Kafka, is the former OC for the Bills, which was why he's bringing Hodgins in. So you can get some Jameis, Robinson, and then you get in some Hodgins today and put in Theo if you want to, but you got Christian Watson on the other side. You got Josh Jacobs on the other side, minus 200 to score, over 100 all-purpose yard props. I think this is a good spot, and for cheap. It doesn't mean it's going to be a good game. I like that the total's held. They're not really adjusting too much for that weather. And this guy, like someone said, Jameis can do what he does. Throw 3 picks, throw 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Definitely going to get some Isaiah Hodgins in there for me, just as a super sleeper random guy that I want to take a shot on. So I like that call. Anything else?
Thinking when you're talking about Hodgins, that there's a team, and I think it's Washington, that is throwing the football to Robbie Anderson. Right? Is that Washington?
It's chosen. It's chosen.
Yeah, I refuse to call him chosen. I mean,
it's his revenge game this morning. Right?
He was
now.
chalk too. He was literally the chalk value on the early slate.
I did not play that slate, and it's just like they were feeding. It's last week against the Lions when they were down by a ton. They were feeding the chosen one. Which
can I tell you something, Hoop? to nobody, at least not to your surprise, they have. 8 guys have been involved this morning in the passing game, and not one. He has not been chosen this morning.
He's not been chosen this morning.
No, he has not. So we'll have to see. But and someone said it too. Yeah, this is another thing. Again, these are all like, who gives a shit? That we do leverage lane on Saturdays, narrative streets on Sundays. We can say whatever. We got Dawson Knox's birthday, Devonta Smith tonight. By the way, happy birthday to him in advance. But
need him in my season-long league. Let's go.
Yeah, you need him. I think this is true too. I think. Hodgins is the scout team partner that they're calling him up from. So, he's already got a connection with Hodgins on top of the Kafka stuff. So maybe it is Isaiah Hodgins week. We'll have to wait and see. Title, anything you want to add on that? If not, we've got the easiest game of the week. They're definitely going to put up 70 points again. You just stack everyone the exact same way you did last time. And this game will for certain go identical to last time. We got the Bengals at the Steelers. Joe Flacco versus Aaron Rodgers, part 2.
Rodgers. Wait, first of all, what happened with Lil Jordan? He got cut?
No, he got back to the Broncos.
He's back to the Broncos.
So Giants cut him and the Broncos signed him? I mean, what? The Giants.
That's Bo Nix's boy. I still have nightmares about that one.
Good for Lil Jordan, I guess.
Or Lil Jordan was too good for the Giants. I mean, the dude goes out and balls his one game with Dart, and Ray gets kicked off the team in Atlanta, and then they pick him up and keep him over. I mean, some of these franchises are absolutely clueless. However, yeah, this game, I mean, you have 2 of the chalky running backs in Jalen Warren, Chase Brown. I mean, Jalen Warren's probably 81.5 on the ground. Just really, really good.
Man.
Price is good. Both can catch passes. They're going to be owned for a good reason, but there's opportunity costs there. Jamar Chase will be one of the highest owned receivers. When you can get 18 targets in a game, it's really hard to argue that. However, he has competition up there. Puka, JSN, Rashee Rice. So it's by no means a slam dunk. I definitely will be playing some DK Metcalf too. Jonnu Smith is a tight end I'm interested in for cheap. Like the Dawson Knox versus Jonnu. Just feels like Jonnu has way more upside in this spot. And some of the DK, the Jonnus can leverage off of Jalen Warren if you want to go the passing game. I'm struggling a little bit to click Rodgers and Flacco. Yes, I know what happened last game on Thursday night when they completely got there. 5,400, 5,500 fine prices. They'll be low-ish owned. You do have clear pass catchers kind of, especially on the Flacco side, but there's just zero rushing upside. They can turn around, hand off the ball a decent amount. The total, Pitt's implied for 28, so that's a little intriguing. But, man, do I really, as much as I love Rodgers and Flacco's been balling, do I really want to click him on 11-game main slate where they probably have to throw for over 300? I don't love it. I'm going to play a bunch of the running backs, though, eat the chalk there, and then Chase, DK, Jonnu. But what are you guys doing at quarterback here?
Chase 95 today. Wow. I got to go look up JSN and Puka. I got to see the difference. I'm just curious. But this is another game. The total went up. Whatever in Pittsburgh, doesn't really matter. Second of a division game. It's just, man, Cincinnati is so bad. And it's everybody's still out again. Like all these options. Like, do I think they're going to turn the clock back and do what they did last game? No. It's still an 11-game slate. Maybe you don't need to, but I think it is interesting because a lot of people are just settling on Warren or Chase Brown or Warren with Jamar Chase. It's definitely the Chases that are being talked about the most. Flacco has almost a 270-yard passing prop. I mean, this guy just keeps rolling. So they gave Rodgers too much time in that last game, and then they gave Flacco too much time. And since he came back, but what do you think, Hoop here? Steelers at home versus the Bengals.
Well, I'll say it's 95.5 for JSN, 88.5h for Puka for your. So right there,
got me just like that. Thank you, the props expert, my props pal title.
Props pal. Boring take, same as title. Really, it's like I'm gonna play the running backs. I'm gonna play Jamar Chase. I'm gonna play DK Metcalf. I don't really want to play the quarterbacks. In my 150, I'm sure I'm gonna end up getting some. I mean, they're not my favorite plays, but it's like almost like you keep them in there just in case. It is like last game and you get that massive game from these guys. Let's just pull it up. Yeah, I have some Rodgers. I got a little bit of Flacco, but like not priorities. So I don't know. I guess really nothing more to add. Like those running backs, Jamar Chase, DK Metcalf, just boring. Nothing crazy from me, really.
I like it a little more, I think, in a few different ways. One is I like the Higgins one-off. Like if you just land on Higgins and you're not on Chase, Brown, Warren, or Chase, and you just try and pick up some points that way, he's only 6K. So I don't really love Jamar Chase one-offs typically because I'd want something pushing him on the other side. Like if you had Warren and Chase, at least something like that would make it happen. But usually when Chase has a big day, it's going to bring the quarterback along, especially when they're 5,500. So the overstack of the game if you're going that route. But on the Pittsburgh side, I think Austin, I think Freiermuth. I know it's, people don't want to pick one. I'm just going to. And if I'm wrong and it is Jonnu or Darnell, fine. But at least I've picked something that I'll have enough of it. So Rodgers, Austin, Freiermuth, if you want to skip over Warren that way. The other thing I just can't stop thinking about is if you're playing Warren, maybe play the Steelers D. Most people are going 3,500, 36, 37 in that range on those defenses. He would cut into it a little bit and it would hurt the Jamar Chase Brown ownership some that way. On FanDuel, I think the Bengals are 3K, as are the Giants, by the way, which I think less people will be inclined to take the Giants, probably for good reason, but Bengals could be popular that way over there if you're playing it. And then the other thing is, what was the other thing? There was one more. Oh, I feel like this is my other take. Chase Brown's props way worse than Warren. You look at the Stone, both similar matchups, but better for the Steelers side. Steelers, favorites at home. This almost reminds me a little bit last week in a different price range of like the James Cook Achane situation, even though that one was at home, one's on the road now. But I think a lot of people think Chase Brown might be higher than he is. And I think especially in single entry, you're going to see Jalen Warren soar. And I think Chase Brown gets kept in check or held back a little bit just because of that. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think we could see last week it was Achane who ended up falling back a little bit in the $20 at least, where James Cook almost doubled and caught up to him. And then Achane had the big game. Maybe we could see that here, and it's Chase Brown that you want to have in this spot. So we'll have to wait and see, but at least somewhat interesting, big total potential. And I don't usually say this because, like I said, it's tough because the division games and the second ones and all that. But I don't think it matters if they play a fourth game, a fifth game, or a sixth game if this is going to be the Bengals team that gets rolled out. So I just think you're going to be able to score. These are also team totals that I don't ignore. How often do the Steelers ever have a team total of like 27? I don't know if they ever do. So it's big time when it comes to that. So, all right, Hoop, I'll go back to you, man. Titans at home, double T here. Titans at home versus the Texans. And it looks like both defenses could be popular. One is the more popular expensive defense and one is the most popular cheap defense. What's your thoughts on this game?
It's going to be quick. The defenses, I think Woody Marks is fine. Looks like he's kind of taken over there, and the price is cheap. They're favored by 5.5, 6. And then Nico Collins is cheap at 6.7K. Davis Mills is cheap at 4.5. A little bit of Mills, a little bit of Collins, more Woody Marks in both defenses.
Yeah, interesting back on this one. Shout out to our guy Oliver, always in here supporting. Books know this, and total went up. So they're not worried about the wins. Again, I also think it's a product of what you got on those teams. When you have Jamar Chase can catch a 5-yard pass and run with it and slant, go with it. Same with Higgins, same with anybody. Freiermuth, Metcalf, Austin. It's not like, I mean, when those guys do open up, great, and they can, but they can also do a lot with ball in hand. So I think that's part of it as well. It's not something I would, and for Rodgers and Flacco, they can do it all too. So I think really it's already baked in, and it's not a product or conversation I'm too worried about. Title, I'll go to you on this one.
The other thing with this weather stuff too, I mean, a lot of times, I mean, it does get blown out of proportion. That's why I always look for the extremes. I mean, even, I'm not shitting on anyone, but the people that cover weather in this industry, they're incentivized to make it a bigger deal than it is, right? They're always incentivized to make weather a bigger deal than it actually is because they want it to be relevant. So that's one thing to always keep in mind. And we always talk about that with baseball, right? Like the weather reports look like monsoon tornadoes coming through and there's no way they play. And like Title knows that he plays baseball every day. 95% of the time, they find a way to get the game in. So like the weather people are incentivized to make the weather a bigger deal than it is. Not shitting on anyone. That's just the reality of the situation. That's business. They want weather to be more important than it is. So they're going to throw in these things. Oh, the gusts are going to get to this and that. That's why it's important to look at the total in these games, because that will tell you when things are really going to be impactful. Like the Cincinnati game, it's looking like 15-20. That's not massive for when you're out there playing football. That's not a huge number, and that's why the total has gone up. So I wouldn't let the weather in this one factor what you're doing personally, just from seeing the reports and how things are structured. Like, just look at the total, let that tell you the news, the info that you really need.
All I can think about, Hoop, I'm just laughing here because it's all great points, but do you ever see the videos? It's on like news stations. They posted these before. The news will be out there making a hurricane be like crazy, and the reporter's like blowing away with the microphone.
The best one ever.
You see
the best one ever, yeah. It's
behind them.
Yes, that's the best YouTube video of all time. Like, not the best of all time.
Yes.
But if you find it, it is so good. And you got to search this one because it is so good. And I don't know when it was from, but the dude's doing a weather report and he's like almost getting blown away by the wind, and like he can't stand up, and he's like battling against the wind, and you see like two young kids just strolling, walking like right behind him.
So normal.
It's the best video ever. So
that's
good.
what you made me think of when you're like they're incentivized to like blown out of proportion, use the wind analogy and everything. It's so perfect, but that is one of the funniest clips of all time. And then they just look like absolute idiots when that happens. They are on you about this though, Hoop. You know Schultz here in your spot, and then Collins is 6'7".
I hate to.
You could get a little Collins action in there too if you wanted to. Stack Davis Mills against that popular chalk D.
Yeah, I know it's been a bit for a while, but yeah, well, all right, maybe reel me back in here. 11 targets last week, 7 for. All right. I was kind of getting over it a little bit, but that may have just reeled me back in. So yeah, I'll play some Schultz.
And then, I got to give props to our man Ranger joining the chat. Shout out to Ranger. The heater continues. A big 65K score last night at MMA. He says Mark Andrews has some milestones to hit, but I like this one. He said, "Oh, we playing NFL today? Let me get my pen and paper out. This man's just going to go right back to work." He said, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it." Title, going to you on this one. Curious about the Woody Marks props. Actually, I didn't have time to pull them up while I was ranting about this, YouTube video that is absolutely hilarious. But the Titans D as the cheap chalk, it's like, that's interesting because there is Woody Mills to Collins to Schultz to whoever. There is Davis Mills. There is Woody Marks going against them also. And he looks to be held in check a little bit here at his price tag. But what do you see him for Woody Marks props?
Not great. 60.5 on the ground, plus 135 to score. A lot of that still, like Nick Chubb's is 32.5 on the ground. Like, he's still clearly involved in this offense, which you're playing a little of a timeshare, but you are getting a clear pivot in the range of Chase Brown, of Jalen Warren. You get them a little cheaper. You get about a touchdown favorites. They're going to want to run the football. I'm definitely going to include it. I would be lying if I loved anything in this game. Like, yeah, I like both defenses. One of them's $3,700 though, so you have to spend on it, and it's a very volatile position. And one of them's the Titans, who are the Titans as touchdown underdogs almost, and they're the chalk. So it's like, yeah, I'm going to play both. Do I love it? Not at ownership or price or whatever. Going to play some Woody as a pivot. It's fine, but you're going to see Nick Chubb in the game, and I'll be really tilted when Nick Chubb gets the touchdown. Nico, I definitely like Nico at 6'7". I mean, we saw
7. All right.
Yeah, like that's so brutal. I'm so happy right now. I don't have any young kids running around the house, or I don't live the same life as you guys right now. I don't hear that except on TV when these dudes are announcers are trying to say a joke about it or whatever. But man, his first read, Davis Mills, was always Nico. The problem I'm having with this spot is, like, if anyone watched the game last week, there was the nut script against Jacksonville. They got down really big early, but it was close enough where they kept slinging the ball, and what a comeback by Davis Mills. But yeah, I mean, if we have to throw the ball every single play, Nico Collins is going to have a game. This is probably not a game that they need to drop back that much, and if that's the case, it's a little harder to get there. So Woody, Nico, the defenses, don't really love any of them, but they'll be in the pool. I don't like this game.
All right. Well, we're going to go to this for just a second here. Our man brought it up.
There we go.
This man is blowing away. Just absolutely getting blown away. This is
battling, man. Fighting for his life.
And then
this is too good.
He's like doing this weird arm thing, like it's really getting a hold of his arm. And buddies in the back are just walking through it like it's absolutely nothing. Some incredible stuff, man. You get out there in the world. It's always good to see.
That is so good. That is just too good right there.
You had to show that off. We gotta have a little fun on a Sunday. So yeah, you guys know what it is. All right, let's let's go. So live look at Tambo being blown away by the support. He says, yeah, this is good. All right, what else do we got here? I guess the only other thing was just on the chat talking about. I did build one lineup that has Mills, Woody Marks, Nico Collins, and Dalton Schultz with the Texans. So you just play for them to smash, but the total has gone way down. I guess I'm hoping for like 30-0 for the Texans versus the Titans. One last thought, title, and then we'll go to these afternoon games. But for Survivor this week, I know some people out there in the big pools, maybe yourself included, but if people are going to Houston here, how scared do you think they should be with the low total division game? If the Titans are going to win one and Cam Ward gets another one, I know they got one early in the season, but if they're going to win another one, that might be it. Could this be the spot that just upsets those Texans, Survivor holders?
For sure. I mean, the total has continued, or the spread has continued to go the opposite direction of as what you want. At the end of the day, I don't think Cam Ward, I guess, is as bad as everyone else. I mean, he's playing with some awful receivers who can't catch the football. I mean, the whole franchise is poverty itself. But yeah, I mean, if there's a game Cam Ward can win, it's definitely this one. I'd be a little scared with the Texans, especially if they have a spot later in the year. I don't know if it was week 16 or what, but I'm cheering for the Titans. Go Titans.
All right, we got 4 afternoon games. Going to get to those in a second. This was the best. Nade's, putting it on himself again. That's Nade's every day in the chat.
Yeah, I was in the process of crafting a response, but I can just say, like, Nate's like, we love you, and all I need to do is bring up some huff and puff chat, and you'll be right back in my good graces. But I have the key to your heart, buddy.
Nate, Hoop, you're not in the Instagram streets, I don't think, but we got our man looking after our Instagram now. He did pull the Huff and Puff chat clip and posted it up and got the clip of the thing on there at Ship It Nation DFS on Instagram. It's fun, like just going to see these little clips float around, and we always appreciate everyone that supports them and puts them out there and sets them up. But I thought it was really funny that they put that one up because you and Nate love that game. It's incredible. All right, before we get to the afternoon games, we don't promote much, but when we do, we want to make sure you guys know what we support and why. And Splash Sports has done an amazing job of putting their money where their mouth is, and it's peer-to-peer. So we really love that about it from the community aspect. But we've got a ton of things coming up with Golf One and Done. We're going to have a March Madness competition this year with some big prizes and some money that go along with some big prizes with the One and Done. But right now, this is your best chance to sign up for Splash Sports and get some of that free money. So you go to Splash Sports, you use code SHIPIT, you get a $50 deposit match bonus, so up to $50, and then you get 100% payout boost on your first Quick Picks entry. And if you go here, even today, this is what we talk about. It's free money. It's still peer-to-peer. It's not sports betting in that sense. You're going to be playing against other people. There's another $20 no sweat, $20 bet that you can get with just 2 to 4 picks, where you can take your free money, bet it for free, and get in on the action that way. And then we also have tiers contest that right now has a bunch of overlay. So if you want to get over there and use some of your free money to play in that, it's a pretty good structure, right? Double your money back for 50th up to 1,500, 1,250, 1,000, 750, and currently 200 shy of filling. Hoop, anything you want to add on that before we get back to these afternoon games?
I mean, yeah, they're raising a lot of money and they're willing to give a lot of it away to the customer base in an attempt to build up their customers. And it's a good time to get in. It's kind of same thing with, DFS a long time ago, 12 years ago, and it was getting really, really popular. There's all sorts of deals and promos, deposit bonuses and that sort of thing. Well, over time it goes away. So got to take advantage of these things while they last, because it's not going to last forever. They're going to get to a point where they're big enough and they're like, all right, now we don't need to give back as much. Right now is the time where they're giving it all away. You got to take advantage of it. And yeah, someone asked about the states. Yeah, there it is. You have it up there.
It's still quite a few. I mean, if you look at all these sites, they all have different factors. Canada is everywhere but Quebec. If you look in the States, there's 4 or 5, 6, there's 10 to 12 like usual. And if it's not for you, so be it. But if it is for you, to Hoop's point, that's why we're excited about it. They are giving back, just like we do with Ship It Games, giving away $50,000 in cash from us. There is no sponsor to that. Ship It Nation is giving away. Now, SaberSim is sponsoring and helping us out. So shout out to our partner. They're giving away 27,000 plus in prizes. But with Splash Sports, they're giving back the money, and it's peer-to-peer games like tiers, like one and done, like quick picks, Survivor, Pick'ems, you name it. So check it out. That's all we ask. We don't go through this stuff too much, but want to make sure you guys know when we do have good promotions and what they're offering and bringing to you. So let's get back to it, Hoop. We got these afternoon games, man. We got the first one kicking off. Definitely a late swap slate, too, I should note. This is where a lot of people are excited to go. I'm talking, of course, Cardinals at home versus the 49ers. But if you got all this stuff fail for you in the morning, I'm not sure this is the place you're going to want to be. There's a ton of ownership in this game for good reason, but I'll let you take it first, Hoop. Cardinals at home versus the 49ers. Brock Purdy back, Ricky Pearsall back, and Jacoby Brissett still at the helm over on the Cardinals side.
I like all those things you just mentioned. All the guys back, and Brissett's still quarterback for the Cardinals. It all sounds great, and probably my favorite game. I will have some ownership, but the reason I like it, there's a lot of different ways you can go about playing it. Yes, Trey McBride's going to be very popular. Michael Wilson will get some ownership. McCaffrey is a spend that people are going to want to be on. The quarterbacks will get some ownership as well, but a lot of different ways to do it. Like on the 49ers side, I mean, at full strength for pretty much the first time this season. And, again, CMC is going to get some ownership, but it's not going to be a crazy amount where you need to avoid it. Purdy's going to get some, but then you have Juwan Jennings, you have Pearsall back, and you have Kittle, who, you just look across the line here, and McBride's getting all the ownership at that position. So there's no way Kittle gets a huge amount. So I like Purdy with McCaffrey or Juwan Jennings or Kittle or multiple of those pieces. And then you go to the Arizona side and you got, their top pass catchers are 3,800 and 3,300. Wilson 38, Greg Dortch 33. And then obviously McBride is above both those guys. But in terms of wide receivers, 2 very cheap wide receivers. I'm not messing with the running backs for Arizona. And I do like Brissett. The one thing is, let's just not get down by 4 touchdowns in the first 15 minutes of the game. And maybe we can get some back and forth here, because that's what happened last week. And Brissett was starting to move the ball quite easily against Seattle, but they got down by so many early on where it killed it in the fourth quarter because they were down by a ton. So if this game stays close, I just don't see a way that it busts, man. I just think and it's in a dome too. We have all these other weather situations this week. This is in a dome. So I love this one all around. Just a lot of different ways to do it. I know you had talked about it yesterday, Tambo, where it's McBride or Kittle. How about both? Double tight end in this game looks phenomenal with one of these quarterbacks, and you could go other pieces. So I like the overstack, like doing, different things. Purdy with CMC looks nice to me as well, with something on the other side. I think it's a really good game, and you can do a lot of different things with it. Yes, McBride's going to get a lot of ownership. Yes, Michael Wilson will get ownership. CMC will get ownership. But I like being unique in the way that you stack this game. I think it's a really good one.
Yeah, gonna get a quick update in here. I was texting the team on one thing, but just noting it that the the late swap opportunity, as I call it, late swap opportunity title on this one is big, because there's other games you can go to, but even within this own game, I'm looking at a couple things right now. Greg Dortch, his receiving prop higher than I expected, which I like because he's probably half the ownership for $500 less than Michael Wilson, but you can also play both. McBride with Kittle, like Hoop talked about that. That's a way that I like as well, which you mentioned. So I think that's kind of the key. There's different ways to go. Pearsall could be, even if Jennings doesn't get up there that high, Pearsall could be 1/4 of the ownership, and because he costs $300 more on FanDuel, a little bit less. McCaffrey, almost 130 all-purpose yard props between rush and receiving, as you typically see, 9K, but on this slate, easy to get to. And then Purdy at 5,800 is more than Jacoby, but it's, you set it up a little bit different. You can stack it on that side, use McBride as the run back, and avoid the cheapies as a way to get different. Bam Knight is going to play now. So, that's something we were waiting on news before today. So what's your thoughts on this one, Title? Anything else to add?
Not really. It's probably the most popular game on the slate. It's definitely close. Like you mentioned, it's in the afternoon window, so I can't pre-flop, pre-slate. I'm going to have a lot of this game. If I need to swap to a lot lower owned plays to get there, it's going to be swapping off of this game because it is carrying so much ownership. One interesting note, Brock Purdy's price on FanDuel is better than it is on DK, and it's fine on DK, but 7,100 on FanDuel is very cheap over there. There's so many ways to play it. Like, I like Brissett. I like Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Trey McBride. You can play all three of them with Brissett, I think. You have clear run backs. I like Purdy. It's a little harder with Purdy in the sense of, you can play him with CMC. I like George Kittle a bunch when you go that way. I'll play a little Juwan, but yeah, with Ricky back, he's low owned. I think I would rather the Kittles, the McCaffreys, the Juwans, but if you want to play Ricky, I'm fine with it. Prefer Juwan at 5-1. It's literally so many plays though. McBride, Kittle, elite. Michael Wilson, one of the best values on the slate. Good prop at 46.5. Dortch, if you want to even get cheaper. Then you have McCaffrey as the spend. If people do want to spend, he's just a fantasy monster, especially on DraftKings. And you have both quarterbacks that are relatively cheap in play. So again, right now I'm going to get a bunch, but it's the chalk. There's no hot take here. If I need to swap off, this is the game I'm probably going to have to swap off since it's going to be heavily owned.
Couple things. Speaking of elite, there's a tight end on the Washington Commanders. His name is Colston Yankoff. What a last name. And Debo heard us talking and said, forget Purdy. I don't need that guy. I got Mariota. Touchdown Debo overseas. So love to see that. I did have a stat here, Hoop. This is interesting. And then I don't have too much else to add. I think this game is pretty obvious what it is. I think if you're dead in the morning and you're leaving this game, it's unlikely. You can still use pieces within it. I think Pearsall. I think Bam Knight. I think Dortch. I think Elijah Higgins. There's all different ways you could build if you still wanted to keep pieces of this game in the afternoon. But I think your full game stack, if the other stuff is dead, is something you're going to want to move off of. And there's multiple games coming up we can talk about. But this stat was Fantasy Points Data. Shout out to the folks over there. They do some good stuff. This was interesting. Michael Wilson in his career has played 37 games with a greater than 66% snap share. I like sample size. These are real sample size. 37 games where he's got the bulk of the shares, the snap share. Only one game over 15.5 fantasy points in all 37 games as that type of role. Greg Dortch, on the other hand, has played it's 15, not 37, but 15 games in the same type of role, 4 games over 16 fantasy points. So maybe the Dortch pivot is an option. You can play them both, obviously, too. I'm just saying if you were looking for that $500 and you needed it, I just wouldn't feel bad about dropping down if I had to. And it could be half the ownership as well. We've got them tagged on the stone there with some upside. So I think that's an interesting spot to look at as well. Title. Seahawks at the Rams. We got Puka, who you brought up earlier, JSN, who you brought up earlier. I'm curious, first off, where do you see their ownership? Like, how do you see that sort of running out? I know we've got the numbers in front of us, but do you see that standing true? Are people going to be more late swapping to these spots in the afternoon because like JSN, $100 less than CMC, so that could boost him even further when we get to that point? But what's your thoughts on this game as a whole, and then how you're seeing it play out before as we go into it?
Thoughts are easy. Puka, JSN. Really, everyone else is appropriately priced, if not overpriced. I don't really want to play the quarterbacks. I don't want to play or guess the Kenneth Walker Charbonnet game. And I can pretty much keep saying, or like Blake Corum is almost in that same boat. Like Blake Corum's usage is really annoying for Kyron. It's just like, I think it was like second drive last game. He got like almost all the work. So yeah, I'm going to avoid the running back room. I'll just play 2 of the best receivers in football. How I see the ownership, I think Puka gets squeezed. I think people will find the 200 for JSN more, and they're going to find the 200 savings for Jamar Chase, especially Jamar. Like, both of these guys have to be somewhat in check because that game environment is just so easy to plug Jamar Chase. You get a little savings, same projection. So yeah, I think they'll be relatively low owned, and it's just not a game environment a lot of people want to jam. So I think it goes Jamar, JSN, Puka in terms of ownership. And yeah, I mean, I'll play Puka at relatively low ownership any Sunday.
I think you're right on that. Aaron says, Dorch the torch with fire emojis. Ben's talking about this game, says the Cup revenge game. Hoop, I'll kick it over to you. I will say I like Title's call there of the late swap in the afternoon. I definitely think more end up on JSN because if they're moving off, it's just like the $100 less than CMC. They already like him. He's been having one hell of a season. It would make perfect sense. But Puka, $200 less on the other side. Their team total is higher as well. I'm interested to see how that actually plays out, but I do kind of like that call there. Hoop, what's your thoughts on this game? And then the quarterbacks as well, just because, tough to get to them, but if they have 9K receivers rounding up, going off, is there a chance that they're part of it as well?
It's a tough game. I mean, I think it's a good game for pivots for sure. Like in the afternoon, if you're, your early stuff doesn't go all that well and you're loaded up on 49ers, Cardinals, maybe look to this game or even the next one where I don't think there's much ownership either. Seattle's just tough because it's like all JSN. Like it's him and really nobody else. I mean, how many slates have you needed somebody outside of JSN on the Seahawks this year or Darnold? Just hasn't been the case. So I don't know, like probably just him on Seattle side. On the Rams side, I think I agree. Puka has to get squeezed a little bit. I think of all the spends today, like he's the lowest owned, including CMC, Bijan, JSN, and Jamar Chase. I think Puka is quite a bit lower owned. So another situation, like if you're on JSN and it's not looking so great, or your competitor has JSN and you need to catch him, like pivoting to Puka here, I think makes a ton of sense. Devontae Adams with the hamstring does worry me a little bit. I mean, he's been great, but, kind of playing through the injury. Stafford's been phenomenal all year. I just don't know how much I'll have of him. And then the Corum thing with Kyron is definitely annoying. So really won't have much of this game.
Yes, I know yesterday somebody in the chat was saying even here today, some are looking at it as like a lower scoring game, but the interesting thing is nobody's really on this game. They're on CMC, they're on JSN and Puka if they're on anyone. And even that, those numbers are kept in check by the Jamar Chase stuff, by the other position stuff, by the double tight end with the McBride stuff. Like there's all kinds of stuff that is keeping this at least held in check, even on JSN and Puka as of right now. Now, when we late swap, they'll all get a bit of a boost. So when you see that tomorrow on the review and say, well, how did JSN get to this number? That's all part of it because people are going to move over some. But right now, I think it is being held in check a little bit, and there is opportunity. This game total is up at 48.5. I definitely think if your stuff is dead, this is one of the games I'm very interested in moving to in the afternoon. And you can start your lineups there too, and then make a decision on do you want to stay there or go to the other game, depending on how your morning goes. But it's a late swap slate. Most are, but specifically one like this, when you have 4 afternoon games and multiple opportunities, plus the game of the week when it comes to DFS ownership, that's where that becomes more important. Hoop, I'm going to stay with you. You mentioned having a little bit of interest in this next one. Really, nobody has interest in this game. It is a division game. Ravens going in to Cleveland. Always a worry for the Ravens because they play down to their competition. The dog pound is no joke. They've lost there plenty of times as of other teteams going in there. It's a tricky spot, but different team right now for the Browns. What's your thoughts on this one, Ravens at Cleveland?
Yeah, let me clarify my statement. I meant I would have interest in looking here for pivots because I just don't think anyone's really going to be on this one.
No, sure. That's what I meant too. Sorry. Yeah, you're right.
Definitely, because I'm really not like what I saw from Bo Nix in this Broncos offense in that game. Was it last week? Like, I got to see something again before I can even consider playing these guys. And Chiefs defense is solid. Like Bo Nix, I love using Title's term of cheeks. Like he looked like the dictionary definition of cheeks in that game. I mean, just missing wide open. Who'd they play again? I can't even remember. It was the
Thursday night
Raiders, right? Yeah. He looked like the literal definition of cheeks. And really, I mean, they've won games, but he hasn't been great. I mean, really at all. And Sutton hasn't been awesome, great. So I don't know. I got to see something. I mean, RJ Harvey, though, with Dobbins out, I think is clearly a play. Should get a majority of the work. He's kind of in that pool on the Chiefs side. Rashee Rice, I think, again, has a chance to get squeezed a little bit at 79. I mean, he's very close to those top-end guys. You probably have to choose one spend at wide receiver. I think a lot of people go to JSN or Jamar Chase. Rashee Rice, absolute stud. A little bit of, I don't know, maybe some Mahomes. I'm not sure. I just don't really love this one. I guess my favorite part is Harvey, Rashee Rice, and I don't know. It's just not a good game. I mean, the Broncos offense, I gotta see something. And if it beats me being off of them today, and then they go off against the Chiefs at home, so be it. Move on to the late slate tonight, move on to Monday Night Football, move on to next week. I can't play the Broncos right now. No chance.
I like how good you're very good at moving on. Any interest in the actual game that we were talking about, the Ravens at the Browns, or you just rattled off the last game for us all instead? We just posted in the chat. Everyone's laughing. We'll just let them roll.
I thought you said Sheila. I don't know what I was thinking. All right, well, we're on that game now.
We're going to go backwards. No, you're good. And I do appreciate the breakdown. You're good on that stuff. Title, we may as well flip it. Let's stick with that game now that Hoop broke it down. RJ Harvey, what are you seeing on his props, out of curiosity, by the way, as well? Because I know he's someone that people were all excited about and all the pass catching and et cetera, et cetera. And obviously unfortunate news for J.K. Dobbins. Again, sucks to see that. But I think, again, maybe a late swap situation more than where people are starting on RJ Harvey. What do you see?
48.5 rushing props, 16.5 through the air, plus 150 to score. I will note, better price on FanDuel than DraftKings. You get more of a gap from the Chase Browns, the Warrens of the world. So yeah, good price on FanDuel. He's in play on DraftKings. Props just mediocre. He's an explosive player. No J.K. Dobbins. By no means a great matchup, though. Only implied for about 21 points. Yeah, I'm like, Rashee Rice looks really good. If a little price discount from the JSNs, the Jamar Chase of the world. I've been off Worthy the past couple weeks. I think this is a week I'm going to jump on a little bit. Just 4,900. I will play some Mahomes. When I play Mahomes, Worthy makes a lot of sense for me just because it's big play upside. 7 targets the past 2 games. He hasn't really done anything with the targets, but for someone with that big of upside, can stretch the field, low ownership. This is a late. If I had to pivot in the late window from the chalk Arizona San Fran game, I think this is my favorite spot to do it and just get the Chiefs with the Worthy, with the Rice, and Mahomes is good. Harvey's my favorite run back. I don't hate Troy Franklin at 5-4, but yeah, I mean, the morning games and then this Arizona San Fran game, I think, are clearly way better than like the Baltimore game, this game, and Seahawks Rams have pieces, but it's not great outside of the Arizona game.
Yeah, you just mentioned something too. I forgot to mention off the top. We're talking about this afternoon and the late swap stuff. I had some lineups that just was on some of my mains and some of the hand build stuff that I was focusing on, where it's like I just have to go play this in early only too, because it's the nut lineup, but it's everybody in the morning, and then somebody's getting it in the afternoon from somewhere. It doesn't always work that way. I make fun of that all the time, but just noting it, you can always do that if you wanted. Keon Coleman missed the meeting on Saturday or Friday, whatever it was, for the Bills. That just came out that they'd planned on playing him, but then, he missed the meeting, so they decided not to. And that's interesting. Crazy, these guys missing meetings.
How are you missing a meeting? I'm like, is that not your job?
I don't know. It's like a privilege thing, I guess. I have no idea. Like, to me, you are playing football for a living. You get to live your dream. It's exciting. You're making all this money, like everything. And you're just not as focused on it. You don't go to the meetings. I just see it all the time. It's crazy. So I don't have too much else to add. Somebody asked, is it a never Mahomes slate? Google the definition of never, and that'll tell you my answer, because it is never Mahomes. I will say, funny enough, though, someone talked to me about it yesterday. Stacking up the Josh Allen stuff has been just as hard, if not harder, to be honest, than try if you were going to stack up Mahomes. But it gets tricky. They do have like a team motto about getting everybody involved. So it kind of makes sense that they're at least sticking to their mantra there of everybody eats. But I will say it's, not for me, even on the late swap stuff. I'll go to a ton of other stuff in the afternoon. And the thing I was saying, I thought, Hoop, I'll let you have redemption here. I thought you were saying you'd have some interest in this game as a late swap. We do have it tagged on the stone there. For those that are a member over at Ship It Nation, you'll be able to see it. Nobody wants Lamar Jackson. Nobody wants Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers. Like, there's just nothing on this game. Not one person double-digit ownership across both these teams.
Yeah, I mean, pretty wild to me. I mean, a highly incentivized team. I mean, struggled early, had the injuries, and now basically has to win, every single game. And, very, very incentivized and has good pieces. Like, I want to definitely be overweight. I get it. In Cleveland, not the best spot. Their defense, pretty good, but they're still a shitty football team overall. And Lamar Jackson's numbers are looking like tiny, like unowned. And I got to play some Lamar Jackson when he's unowned. And really, it's mostly to Zay Flowers, and I think Mark Andrews is fine as well. But unowned, like if you're playing 150 teams, like man, like I am playing 150. I will be overweight on Lamar Jackson to Zay Flowers to Mark Andrews. I'll throw Derrick Henry in there. No one really wants to play him. I mean, still projected to score 23. I mean, that's not a massive number, but man, the thing that sticks in my head, they are a very incentivized team right now. They can't take any games off. They have to be locked in. They have to be focused. And you give me all that at no ownership, I'm definitely in. And then on the Cleveland side, not playing anyone, not playing Titles boy Buckins, not playing Njoku, Judy. I mean, I'm off the Browns all together, but very, very much so like the Ravens here today.
And this total just dropped off a cliff. Title. If I was talking about that stuff earlier, this one is opened at 44.5 down to 38.5. And, division game, AFC North battle. Everyone's so excited about the other AFC North battle with Pittsburgh and Cincy, but this one could go either way, I guess. But like the chat said, the other thing about this game too, Tyler, is hard to figure out. I know you could say Lamar, Zay, Andrews, at least that side is a little bit easier. Probably not trying to figure out who it is on the other side. If it's Judy, Tillman, Fannin, and Njoku, like all these different options. But what's your take on this game? It's our final game of the day since we covered the other one, recently. But what do you got with this one?
Yeah, I really don't like it too much. Division game should be slower paced. Weather is tagged as orange. Totals dropped. I'd rather play Lamar if he was at home. You have to spend on Lamar. I like cheaper quarterbacks more today. Mark Andrews at 3,500, probably my favorite way to attack this game. He can just fall in the box twice. Get there that way, and you don't need Lamar. There's no Bateman. I saw Nate saying Zay's all the way up at 6'4", though. I don't know. If I'm playing that, I might as well probably just play Lamar. I really do not like this game. I think if I have to late swap anywhere from the Arizona San Fran, it's either like Puka Stafford or it's Mahomes, which I know you don't really like too much. But yeah, it's really clear in the afternoon where all the ownership's going.
Every single Joe Flacco, Jamar Chase lineup could be Lamar, Zay Flowers. Interesting.
It's very interesting.
Flacco's obviously looking better on paper as is Jamar Chase with that number. But yeah, it's just, things like that you look at and see. Now, that won't matter as much from the late swap perspective. If I'm looking at it, I guess a different angle, kind of tough to see because it would just be, if you're changing out a flex or something like that. If you got Brissett, man, it's only 11-2 for McBride and Brissett. So it's not going to be that. Yeah, it's pretty tricky. Like I said, it'd be a late swap thing here if you wanted to get to it more than likely. If some people are starting with it, with those guys, you can always change them to the other spots if you get there. But I don't know. I'm much higher on this Seahawks Rams game for late swaps than anything else. And then using pieces from these other games. It's just guys like Zay Flowers, Rashee Rice, any of those dudes, man, they can all kind of just get there on their own, and you don't need to bring anything else with it. They could be good options. If you are landing in those spots, don't be afraid to have them in there. And if you want a late swap, you can always move things around later, but definitely think they're interesting. Title, any final thoughts from you or anything else you want to bring up before we get out of here?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I look forward to Sunday every day. I mean, I get a little sad Monday mornings knowing that we have to wait another 6 days for this. So, yeah, I'm going to enjoy it. 11 games on tap, 4 in the afternoon. Good luck, everybody.
Yeah, Inactive's about to come out here shortly, so we'll get some insight on what that all looks like across some of these other squads and final stuff, and then be on top of the injury news and in the Discord if you're a member over at Ship It Nation for all the afternoon updates. We have a big showdown slate tonight that's going to be all updated and covered. The show will be out this afternoon on our YouTube channel. That's free. You can check that out, so make sure you're subscribed so you get the notifications. Hit the thumbs up for us. Hoop, final thoughts from you before we get out of here? Promos are on the screen.
Yeah, good luck to everyone. Some big time success in college football in our community, big time success in MMA this weekend within our community. And today, let's get that big time success in the NFL streets and get those logos at the top. Good luck to everyone out there.
Yeah, it's always the plan. If you guys want to get in for the rest of the season, you can do $199. That gets you Ship It Games entry to play for the 79,000 potential. And then you have NFL, college football, Saber Sim, everything included in that. You've got college football for the all access deal, the Ship 19 that you can use to get 5 days for $19. The MMA stuff that we talked about, all the NFL, the showdown, NBA's on, NHL's on, all that and more. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you. For Hoop, for Title, and for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it.